Banwa, souls in search of harmony and refuge. I am Naomi, and from this space where the simplicity of forms and the warmth of natural wood envelop me in an embrace of serenity, I offer you a very warm and heartfelt welcome to Minimalist Charm. Today, I want to invite you on a journey of transformation, not to a faraway place, but to the very heart of our homes. Together we will explore how we can turn our home, however humble or small, into a true dojo of peace, a space that nourishes our spirit and offers us a sanctuary of calm amid the hustle and bustle of the world, applying the timeless principles of Japanese design. I remember my grandmother Akiko's house with particular fondness. It was not large or luxurious by modern standards, but it had an atmosphere of peace and harmony that always made me feel welcome and deeply calm. Every object had its place and purpose. There was nothing superfluous. Natural light streamed in through the shoji paper panels, creating patterns of light and shadow that changed with the hours of the day. The materials were natural: wood, bamboo, stone, rice paper, and conveyed a sense of warmth and connection to the earth. Her small garden, visible from almost every corner of the house, was an extension of the interior space, a constant reminder of the serene beauty of nature. It wasn't just a house, it was a reflection of her spirit, a place where the soul could breathe and find rest. Many of us, on the other hand, live in homes that, far from being havens of peace, often feel chaotic, cluttered, and visually noisy. We accumulate objects without rhyme or reason, spaces feel disconnected, and the lack of harmony creates a subtle but persistent feeling of stress and overwhelm. We long for a home that recharges us, inspires us, and is a true personal sanctuary, but we don't always know how to achieve it, especially if we live in small spaces or on a limited budget. Japanese minimalism and the design principles that emanate from its philosophy offer us invaluable guidance for creating just that, a home that is a dojo, a place of training and discipline, but also of deep inner peace for our spirit. Today, I want to share with you some reflections and insights inspired by this ancient wisdom to help you transform your own spaces, regardless of their size, into true oases of serenity and well-being. One of the cornerstones of Japanese design, and a fundamental principle for transforming our home into a dojo of peace, is the pursuit of essential simplicity, eliminating the superfluous to allow the beauty of the necessary to shine through. In Japanese culture, there is a deep appreciation for the beauty that emanates from simplicity, from the absence of unnecessary ornamentation. This does not mean cold austerity or lack, but rather a careful selection of what is truly important, what brings us joy, functionality, or deep meaning. By clearing our spaces of clutter and objects that no longer serve us or inspire us, we create a clean canvas where calm and clarity can flourish. It is the concept of that intentional empty space, which applies not only to visual aesthetics, but also to the sense of spaciousness and freedom we experience in a clutter-free environment. I think of Isabel, a young professional in Mexico City who lived in a small apartment cluttered with inherited furniture, travel souvenirs, books she no longer read, and objects she had accumulated over the years. She felt constantly overwhelmed and found it difficult to relax in her own home. "Naomi, I feel like my house is suffocating me," she confessed to me with anguish. "There are so many things that I don't even know where to start." I suggested that she begin a gradual process of conscious decluttering, applying the principle of asking herself whether each object really brought value or joy to her current life. I suggested she focus not on what she was losing, but on the space and calm she was gaining. Little by little, as Isabel let go of the unnecessary, her small apartment began to transform. The rooms felt more spacious, the light flowed better, and most importantly, she began to feel lighter and more serene. "It's amazing, Naomi," she told me. "Now I love being at home. It's my little refuge. I've discovered that having fewer things has given me so much more space to breathe and be myself." I invite you to look at your home with fresh eyes. What items could you let go of to create more space for peace and clarity? Remember, simplicity is not poverty, but the elegance of the essential. This quest for simplicity naturally leads us to the importance of connecting with nature, integrating natural elements into our homes to create an atmosphere of harmony and well-being. Japanese culture has a deep, ancestral connection to the natural world, and this is exquisitely reflected in its interior design. Untreated or subtly finished wood, bamboo, stone, natural fibers such as linen or cotton, and of course plants are essential elements in creating an environment that reminds us of our intrinsic connection to the earth and its cycles. These materials not only add beauty and warmth, but also have a calming effect on our nervous system. The concept of shizen, which refers to naturalness and the absence of artifice, is key here. I met Javier, a computer programmer from Madrid who spent most of his day working from home in a modern but somewhat cold apartment devoid of natural elements. He often felt disconnected and lacking in energy. I suggested he try inviting nature in to his home. He started by adding some indoor plants, choosing easy care species with simple lines, such as lucky bamboo and an elegant sansevieria. He replaced some of his synthetic curtains with bamboo blinds that filtered the light in a warm, soft way. She placed a small water fountain on her desk, whose gentle murmur reminded her of the sound of a stream. "The change has been subtle but profound, Naomi," she told me. "My apartment feels more alive, more welcoming. The plants bring me joy, and the sound of water relaxes me. It's as if I've brought a little piece of the forest into my home in the middle of the city." You don't need a large garden to connect with nature. A few well-chosen plants, a smooth stone picked up on a walk, a wooden bowl with pine cones or seashells can make a big difference. Open your windows whenever you can to let in fresh air and natural light. These small gestures help us tune in to the rhythms of nature and create a healthier, more serene environment. Another fundamental principle in designing a home that nourishes the spirit is the conscious use of light, both natural and artificial, to create environments that invite calm and contemplation. Light has a direct impact on our mood and energy levels. In traditional Japanese architecture, exquisite attention is paid to how natural light interacts with space, using elements such as shoji paper panels to diffuse light and create a soft, ethereal atmosphere, or deep eaves and gawa to protect from direct sunlight in summer and allow low light to enter in winter. When it comes to artificial light, the preference is for warm, indirect, and dimmable lighting that allows you to create different moods depending on the time of day and the activity being carried out. Avoiding cold, harsh, fluorescent lights is crucial for a peaceful space. Carolina, a writer in Buenos Aires, complained that she often felt tense and had headaches at the end of the day in her study, which was mainly lit by a fluorescent tube on the ceiling. I suggested she experiment with different light sources. She should make the most of natural light during the day by placing her desk near a window, and for the evening she should use floor or table lamps with warm light bulbs and dimmers. I also recommended using candles, with caution of course, to create a more intimate and relaxing atmosphere during her downtime. "Naomi, I can't believe what a difference something as simple as changing the lighting has made," she told me. "My study now feels much more welcoming and peaceful. I no longer end the day with that feeling of visual and mental fatigue. It's as if the soft light is embracing me." Pay attention to the lighting in your home. How can you maximize natural light? Can you replace cold, direct lights with warmer, indirect options? A simple change in lighting can completely transform the atmosphere of a space. Japanese design also teaches us the importance of creating areas or corners dedicated to quietude, reflection, or activities that nourish the soul, no matter how small our home may be. In a traditional Japanese home, we often find a tokonoma, a small raised alcove where a floral arrangement, calligraphy, or a meaningful art object is displayed, inviting contemplation. We don't need to replicate an exact tokonoma, but we can be inspired by the idea of designating a small space in our home as our personal peace corner. It could be a simple cushion on the floor next to a window, a comfortable armchair in a quiet corner, a small altar with objects that inspire us, or even an outdoor space if we are lucky enough to have a balcony or a small garden. The key is that it is a place where we can retreat to disconnect from noise, meditate, read, write, or simply be in silence with ourselves. Miguel, a young university student in Lima, Peru, lived in a small shared room and felt he had no space of his own where he could find a moment of calm. I suggested that, even in those circumstances, he try to carve out a small, sacred territory. Perhaps it could be his own bed, carefully made every morning, and with a special cushion that he would only use for reading or meditation. Or a small shelf where he could place a plant, a candle, and a photo that conveyed peace to him. Miguel decided to create his calm corner in a corner of his desk, placing a small salt lamp, a notebook and pen to write down his thoughts, and headphones to listen to relaxing music. Even though it's a tiny space, Naomi, it has become my refuge, he shared with me. When I need to disconnect from the noise and stress of studying, I sit there for a few minutes and it's like entering another dimension. It helps me focus and recharge my batteries. No matter how small your home is, you can always find or create a little corner that is just for you, a space that invites you to be still and find yourself. Another crucial aspect of transforming our home into a peaceful dojo is the careful selection of the objects that surround us, prioritizing quality over quantity, functional beauty, and items that have deep personal meaning. Japanese minimalism does not advocate aesthetic emptiness, but rather intentionally surrounding ourselves with objects that we love, that are useful to us, and that enrich our lives. This relates to the concept of Wabi-Sabi, which finds beauty in imperfection, simplicity, and the authenticity of handmade objects or those that show the traces of time and use. A single handmade ceramic bowl used daily with appreciation can bring much more joy and satisfaction than a dozen mass-produced but soulless pieces of tableware. I remember Luisa, a lawyer in Santiago, Chile, whose apartment was filled with decorative objects bought on impulse. Gifts she didn't like but kept out of obligation, and things that simply filled space. Although her home was decorated, she didn't feel truly connected to it. I suggested she make an inventory of her belongings, applying Marie Kondo's famous method of asking herself if each item sparked joy, le tokimeku, but going one step further by also reflecting on its functionality, quality, and personal meaning. It was a revealing process. She got rid of many things that were just gathering dust and taking up energy, and kept only those she truly loved or needed. My house feels lighter, more personal, warm, she told me. Now every object I see has a story. It gives me a pleasant feeling. I've discovered that I prefer to have fewer things that are of good quality and mean something to me, rather than lots of impersonal things. Before purchasing a new item for your home, ask yourself, do I really need it? Does it add beauty or functionality to my life? Is it made of quality materials that will stand the test of time? Does it connect me to something I value? Surrounding yourself with objects that have soul transforms a space into a home. Finally, for our home to be a true dojo of peace, it is essential to cultivate habits of order and cleanliness that are not seen as a burden, but as a form of care and respect for our space and ourselves. A tidy and clean environment has a direct impact on our mental clarity and sense of well-being. In the Zen tradition, cleaning the temple, samyu, is considered a spiritual practice, a form of meditation in action. It is not about obsessing over perfection, but about maintaining a basic harmony, treating our home with the same care and respect we would treat a sacred place. Establishing simple routines to maintain order, such as spending a few minutes each day putting things away, cleaning surfaces, or airing out rooms, can make a big difference. Fernando, a father from Barcelona, felt constantly stressed by the mess in his home. With 2 young children, keeping things tidy seemed like a losing battle. I suggested that instead of trying to do sporadic big cleans that left him exhausted, he implement small daily habits and involve the whole family in a fun way. For example, tidy up time, where everyone spent 10 minutes before dinner picking up their things, or Harmony Sunday, where they spent some time cleaning and tidying up together while listening to music. It was a challenge at first, Naomi, he confessed. But little by little it's become part of our routine, and the feeling of walking into a tidy, clean house at the end of the day is priceless. We all feel calmer and happier. A tidy home is not only aesthetically pleasing, it is a reflection of an orderly mind and a peaceful heart. My dear friends, transforming our home into a dojo of peace, a sanctuary that nourishes our spirit, does not require large investments or moving to a dream home. Above all, it requires intention, awareness, and a deep respect for the principles of simplicity, harmony with nature, and an appreciation for beauty in the essential. By applying these keys inspired by Japanese design and philosophy, we can create spaces, however small, that welcome us, restore us, and inspire us to live with greater serenity and purpose. A home conceived as a dojo of peace becomes much more than four walls and a roof. It becomes an ally on our path of personal growth, a refuge where we can recharge our energy, connect with ourselves, and find calm amid the storms of life. It is a space that invites us to live in a more minimalist way, yes, but above all, in a more meaningful and fulfilling way. As a beautiful Japanese proverb that my grandmother Akiko used to quote while carefully arranging a simple ikebana that lit up the whole room says, Heya wa kokoro no utsushi kagami. This roughly translates as, the room is the mirror of the heart. May our homes, by reflecting the peace, harmony, and simple beauty we cultivate within them, also become a mirror of a serene heart and a nourished spirit. I sincerely hope that these reflections on how to transform your home into a dojo of peace have offered you inspiration and practical tools to begin creating that dream space. If these ideas have sparked a light within you, I invite you with great joy to join our community here at Encanto Minimalista. Subscribe to the channel to continue exploring together these paths of wisdom that guide us toward a more harmonious and meaningful life. And if this message has brought you a moment of clarity, a new perspective, or an impulse for change, please give us a like. Your support helps us immensely to spread these seeds of well-being and serenity to more souls who may be longing for a refuge of peace in their own lives. Now, as always, I would love to hear your thoughts and plans. Comment below which Japanese design principle resonates most with you right now, or what small change you are willing to implement in your home this week to cultivate a little more peace and harmony. Write "My Home, My Peace Dojo" if you feel inspired to embrace this path of transforming your spaces and with it your life. Thank you so much for your presence, your attention, and your desire to create beauty and serenity in your lives and homes. May every corner of your home become a reflection of the peace that dwells in your heart. Matane.